I'm going to do it. Show you how to put it in there. Morgan Smith, Jay Davis, Todd Marshall, Craig Jenkins, and the second best roofer in Texarkana, Tony Langford, out here at Lobo Stadium for the biggest game of the year. Pleasant Grove versus Gilmer, number 2. I'm excited, man.
It's going to be a good night, and the good thing is the previous matchup does not matter. It's all for nothing, and so you lose tonight, you go home. So it's going to be a good match.
This one's for all the marbles.
Yeah. Guys, this is what I thought it was going to be 4 weeks ago. I thought both of them would be here ready to play.
Yeah, I think so. I think even after the first game, I remember after the first game at Pleasant Grove, a lot of those guys, a lot of Pleasant Grove players and the Gilmer players, like, we'll see you in the 4th round. We'll see you in the 4th round, and they knew it. It's a tough district, and you've got 2 top programs in this part of the state going at it with the Region 2 championship on the line. Opportunity to represent this part of the state. There's a lot of pride in that. East Texas football, so there's a lot of pride in who comes out of this game winning because you're representing East Texas, and there's a lot of pride in that.
I mean, these are definitely the 2 best teams in 4A Division II, obviously. This is, what, the 2nd year in a row they've done this?
Yes. It was the 3rd round last year when Gilmer played Pleasant Grove, but this is the 2nd year in a row where 2 teams from this district in Pittsburgh last year played.
I think this is the state championship.
Yeah, Pleasant Grove.
I was going to say a lot of people have this picked as whoever wins this game is the state champion.
Yeah, you could very well say that. This will be a big game. I would say the winner of this game has a very good chance of winning out.
So, Tony, from Gilmer originally, or lived there most of your life anyway, what are the people you know there? What kind of chatter are we hearing?
Oh, they're confident. I mean, they're confident
you expect
in the
it
kids.
from Gilmer.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they've been a great program for a long time, and I don't think it's no different this year. And they seem to have gained speed as the years went on. And I think it's going to be a hard-hitting, hard-fought game, and I think it's going to go down to the wire.
You know, I hear this all over the place. It's like everybody's like, oh, the over's 50.5 is kind of what I kind of set it out, I believe. And everybody's like, oh, it's going to be way more than that. And I'm sitting there like, are you sure?
I don't
think it's going to be either.
I think it's going to be a 1-touchdown game, and I think it's going to be like 28-21. I think it's going to be more of a defensive battle than an offensive battle.
Well, I think tonight you're going to see something a little bit different, or Gilmer's going to see something a little bit different, because Nick Martin did not play. KJ Hicks did not play that game. And, Pleasant Grove faced a passing quarterback. We may or may not, face Hurt tonight. I don't know if he is going to be playing tonight. I think he is going to be suiting out. But I just don't know if he's going to be ready for game speed. So I do think that there's going to be an advantage having Nick and KJ on the field when we didn't have him in the first game.
I mean, KJ's playing probably the best football of his life. Actually, shout out to KJ. Got another offer.
Yes.
Where was it at? Southern Oklahoma University? Yeah.
Southeastern Oklahoma University.
I mean, hey, and he's deserves it. He's going to have more coming in.
Yeah, he'll have many more.
Very well earned, and there's a lot of guys. That's what's really cool about this matchup. There's a lot of guys that are going to be playing on both sides now. They're going to be playing on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Either next year or in a few years. So it's a lot of excitement here. A lot of the fans that are going to be filling in here. The Pleasant Grove fans are filling in. As you can see behind us, the Gilmer fans are filling in. So it has a true atmosphere of December playoff football. Fortunately, though, we don't have the December weather, so it's not. Yeah. It's not. It feels like October outside as far as weather.
Feels great.
But we'll take it for sure this time of year.
To go back to KJ for a moment, I saw him again before the game. I told him the same thing that I've told him the past couple of weeks. It's just a different week to go out and do the same thing. So hopefully he can show up and have a great game again this week.
I don't see. I talked to him earlier when they were getting off the bus, and he was like, man, I've been waiting my entire life. Every week I keep saying this. He keeps telling me every week, no, man, this is like what I've dreamed about. And he's playing great football. Obviously. Switch it over to Gilmer. I'm actually friends with one of the linebackers' dads. I've known him almost my entire life. Bryson Jimerson, outside linebacker. Yeah. He got the sack last week that kind of sealed that football game for him. And this is what they wanted.
Yes.
Like they wanted another shot. And that program, I mean, it goes all the way back to 2003. They just win. Gilmer, they're just winners, and everybody knows. And that doesn't die because you lose. You have a 3-loss season.
Oh, yeah.
These guys play to win.
But it also shows their competitors that to lose to PG earlier in the year and want them back again in the playoffs, they're not scared.
Right.
It comes down to if you want to be the best, you have to beat the best, and that's exactly what they want to do.
Well, according to rankings, we have the number 1 and 2 ranked team. According to some, we have the number 1 and 3 ranked team in the state playing tonight. Several places have this as game of the week. Nowhere else I'd rather be right now.
No.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just excited to be able to see how Pleasant Grove answers what they saw at the beginning of the year, because Gilmer's changed.
Yeah.
You know, their offense has changed. So it's going to be interesting to see what Coach Fuller does to, counteract their running game. I mean, Bush has been phenomenal during
Lights
the playoff
out.
run.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's going to be tough to stop him tonight.
Guys, this ain't the same Gilmer team I grew up watching. I grew up watching a pass-happy, throw the ball three-quarters of the time team. They actually have more rushing yards this year than they do have passing yards, and I'm not used to seeing that.
I was
growing
thinking
up.
the same thing. That's where it's caused PG a little bit of trouble, even with Carthage, with a team that's passing the ball a lot. That seems to be. I wouldn't say PG has a weakness, but that's not their strong point of that defense. It's the defensive line and stopping the run.
Well, and I think if Landon and Marcus are getting back there, that definitely gives our cornerbacks and our safeties a little more room to give those better receivers and taller receivers. But I've been impressed with Derman's play. And the fact that we've got Bingham back in the playing surface, this is his third week back from his injury.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see Bingham back in.
Shout out to Bingham on that pick 6 last week. I don't know. I didn't see him all week, but I went in and put a helmet sticker on his helmet last week. I said, man, I put a note in there. So you deserve this.
I was happy for Bingham last week, and I will tell you this: I thought his dad was going to have a heart attack on the sideline. he ate it.
You have to introduce me to him or not. Everyone keeps telling me I hadn't
He's a
met
great
him yet.
guy.
Todd's a great
Super
guy.
guy, super guy. And and it goes back to that. What I really love about this game is I've got an opportunity to meet the high school principal at Gilmer High School, and Mr. Bowman, and he and I have become close friends this year. Just we text regularly and talk regularly, and just the level of respect. And that's the first thing we talked about after the first game. These kids, they are free. I mean, after the game, the last game, you could just see the evident how. After the game, when the scoreboard's off, the whistles are quit blowing. These guys come together and they're friends. A lot of these guys know each other. Have just grown up playing against each other. Some play select ball with and against each other. So there's just so much respect between these two programs. That's very special.
I tell you, this has to be a really fun game for Landon too, because Landon used to play for Gilmer.
Oh, okay.
He played some junior high football for Gilmer, so he probably knows three-quarters of this team.
Let's do this. Let's go to break, and we'll come back with Coach Josh Gibson, followed by Coach Turner and Gilmer. Ask them what they think about tonight.
Find yourself in need of emergency care, come see us at Texarkana Emergency Center. We're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We are locally owned with board-certified physicians for all your emergencies. We accept all private insurance. At Texarkana Emergency Center, we have on-site lab, pharmacy, x-ray, ultrasound, and CT. Come see us at Texarkana Emergency Center. Real ER without the wait. The next generation of emergency care.
We're live from Lobo Stadium, Pleasant Grove versus Gilmer. Second matchup this season. We have head coach of Pleasant Grove Hawks, Josh Gibson. What's this week been like?
Well, it's been fun. It's been there's been that good stress. You're fired up. We're playing a rivalry game against a team we respect a lot, and so there's the good stress of making sure we're on point, and then there's a part where you're just super grateful that we're here in the fourth round getting to play again with our kids and getting an extra week. And I think that speaks a lot about our district. We've now done this 2 years in a row where it's two teams from our district playing in the regional championship. And it's a tough district with a lot of good football teams, and we're fired up and thankful to be one of them.
Man, I talked to some of your kids when they got off the bus. They seem pretty loose. I mean, obviously they've been here before.
Well, yeah, and to say loose, I know I got a text from Coach Rees. He's on one of the charters coming up, and we come in SUV in front, and he said, "Man, there's not a word being said." He's like, they're focused right now, and I think that's where their mind is. They're they're focused, they're ready, they're fired up. They had a great week of practice, and that's what good programs do. I know they had the same week over there because they're going to be on point and doing what they're supposed to do. But I know we put our best foot forward this week, and we've had a great week and want to capitalize on that.
Man, I can imagine.
Well, ever since Friday night, the buzz with the community and people asking me, what do you think, and just the excitement that's there. I shared with you a little bit earlier today through a text that my 99-year-old grandmother called me and wanted to know, make sure that I provided her updates tonight. But just tell us about the impact that we're getting outside of Pleasant Grove and just the fans and the people that are following the program.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm super happy for our district about is the last 3 years. We've been spreading our brand as a district in a lot of different ways. Anytime a group from our school has success, people hear about PG, and for the longest time, it happened in baseball every year. And then you have other groups that would do well. And when you do this in football, your name's always up there on Fox Sports Southwest statewide, and they're tuning in and they're here tonight. And so our brand gets to spread. I think that's great for our district. And so what this football team's done in that respect is awesome. And then I like the part where it just brings people together. It brings extended family and fans together. It brings people to games that normally wouldn't be at those. I just saw Bruce Self. He does college football games, a referee. He's been doing it 38 years, retiring this year, and he's at this game tonight because it's a big game, and so that's cool. The bread's getting spread, Gilmer's and PG's, and then get family time and people together. That's awesome.
Being from Longview, man, my phone has been blowing up this week. There's going to be so many people here tonight that has not seen either one of these teams play in years, but they know this is a game to come watch.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a bigger game in Texas. I think they're all big, in the fourth round. But why is this big? Because we played twice the last 2 years. We're from the same district. You go back to 2004. And you look at regional championships, and it's probably been somebody from our district out of these 15 years. It's probably been 12 times from our district alone. And whoever wins this game tonight is still going to represent our district as a regional champ. So it's huge in that respect. It's a fourth round game. But then when it's rivalry and it's two from the same district, I think it makes it even more special. And then right here in this area, just a lot of good football fans in East Texas.
Man, I'm excited. Nowhere else I'd rather be tonight. I've been looking forward to this all week. I got a chance I kind of snuck into one of your practices earlier this week. And, man, the guys, it was just, you could hear a pin drop in that place. The focus in there. I think it was whatever night, but Tuesday when the basketball game was happening, I left there and I told somebody, I was like, dude, this is serious.
Yeah.
And, it is. But, to go in and hear a bunch of kids, you were the only person I could hear talking.
They did their best this week, and that's the thing you're proud of at the end of the day. You want to go into a game and go, man, we didn't have any regrets. We could have prepared harder. No, our kids prepared as hard as they could. We had great meetings, 100% attendance at everything that was voluntary, from meetings to weight room sessions, the whole 9 yards. And that's who they are. That's who they've been all year. We asked them to get better and grow each week, and I think this was one of the best weeks we've had all year of practice.
You've been talking all in the pregame speeches, halftime, postgame, time's running out, and this is a special group of kids for you. How does, another week with them, what all does it mean to you?
Well, I think that's the sad part of it is that the time does run out. It runs out every year with a different group of kids, and you've got to be with them for 6 years, and you're such a huge part of their life. They're a huge part of our lives because of the hours. I'm with them 5 hours a day. I get to see my son about an hour a day. So you get really close to these guys, and they become part of your family, and then they're gone. And their parents struggle with that, when they're going off to college, and we struggle with it too. And sometimes I get so attached, I don't even know how I'm going to come back the next year. And there's always another group of great kids, and they're all great kids. But it's a sad deal to know that maximum time we have left is 2 weeks all together doing what we do. We'll always connect and we'll always be in each other's lives, but this group being together, and that's the scary part too. It could be 4 more hours or it could be 2 more weeks, and so that pushes and motivates us as much as anything.
What are we going to see tonight? Anything different than we're used to seeing?
I think when you play somebody a second time, you have to be who you are if you were the team that won the game. You got to be who you are, and both of us have to be that. We're both playing in the fourth round for a reason. We're a good football team, so you got to be who you are, and you got to play within your identity. But if you don't look at some tendencies and tweak some stuff up here and there, I mean, that's why you bang your head up there to the late hours of the night. So we did some of that stuff too this week.
It's like, Coach, you're playing a Gilmer team that you've already played this year. It seems like Gilmer's building a little bit more confidence over the past couple of weeks.
Sure.
So on your guys' parts, how much of this week's focus has been on to focusing on detail? Because when you play a team twice, you want to make sure you fine-tune everything and make sure there aren't any mistakes and stuff like that. How much of your focus has been on that?
Yeah, just as detail-oriented as we could possibly be, and that's turning over all those stones. If we're not doing that, we're setting ourselves up to come up short. And you know, this isn't new for us. We played Gilmer twice last year. We played Pittsburgh twice last year, and now we're playing Gilmer twice again. And I think that goes back to how good our district is. Last year it was Pittsburgh. It was Gilmer the round before that in week 3 of the playoffs, and then here we are twice again. So our kids have been through this part, and they do understand that it's got to be as close to perfect or we're setting ourselves up.
All I can say is I'm excited about tonight. And, I hope you are going to be able to, get those kids, get the best out of each one, and pull out that W.
Yeah. Well, they're going to put their best effort out there. It's going to be fun to watch, and I think it's going to be fun for this whole entire bowl. That's why we're having it here. It's going to be a great environment. And if you can't get excited for this type of football, something's wrong. We got referees coming. They've been doing it 38 years and are hanging up. But we're going to have about 8 D1 coaches on the sidelines too.
I heard that,
And so it's going to be a good show.
All right, brother. Well, man, we'll let you get back to it. Best of luck to you tonight, and we'll see you post game.
I appreciate y'all covering us. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Let's take it to break real quick.
Appreciate you.
Beautiful, isn't it? Beautiful, handcrafted stone is our passion, and we ensure our customers receive the quality they deserve. We stand by our word, we stand by our products, services, and work that we do. Our team of experienced craftsmen and product experts have been perfecting their craft of fabricating and installing stone since 1998. Visit the Design Center at Red River Lumber to see the many beautiful stone options available for your next project.
A strong work ethic takes pride in a job well done. This is the kind of person you need. Express Employment Professionals can help because we understand what it takes to hire good people. It takes real people, real interviews. We find good people, matching the right skills for the right jobs. Express knows jobs. Get to know Express. Go to expresspros.com to find a location near you.
We are back from Lobo Stadium. We have Gilmer head coach, Coach Turner, with us. Man, it's been an exciting year for this district. Seems like we were talking just with Coach Gibson. He's like, every year, it's the 3rd year in a row this district has came to this round and met, I believe.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a strong district. A lot of good football teams, well-coached teams, a lot of good players.
You know, Tyson Jimerson's one of my good friends. Son Bryson plays outside linebacker for you. Right. Had that, game-sealing sack last week. He sent it to me. He was real excited about it.
It was exciting.
Yeah, he told me, he said, man, Pleasant Grove better watch out this week.
Well, we've got a lot of respect for Pleasant Grove.
Well, trust me, he's got a lot of respect for you, too, and your program. What do you think we're going to see here tonight?
Well, we hope a really great football game. I know this. You got 2 extremely well-coached teams, a lot of good athletes. That's usually a good combination. Round 4, all that. So, we're excited. I know they are too, so we hope we're going to see some really good football.
We didn't get to come to the first Gilmer Pleasant Grove game. We had Katie and Lizzie there. I think, Jay, you were there, right?
Yes.
So we just kind of had to hear about it. Everybody said, man, it was like a championship fight. We were really, really excited to be here tonight. It's the first time seeing Bryson play for me.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm kind of excited to watch him play. But, man, we were talking earlier. He's from Gilmer. Tony is.
Sir. Right.
And he's picking Gilmer tonight is what he told us out here. Now, he has a business in Texarkana.
All right.
But,
Come on now.
Anyway.
He doesn't have any business in Texarkana now.
Well, he was the best roofer. Now he's been moved to the second best roofer by a reliable news source.
There you go.
But, man, it goes all the way back when I played at Spring Hill in like 2002, 2003. And you were there with Trailer, correct?
Sure, I worked.
Yeah. And, man, this momentum y'all have, like, everybody knows, like, Gilmer is that dude. Carthage is that dude. PG's new at being that dude now.
Yeah, they're that dude, no doubt.
And the time, effort that you're putting into it. I mean, just tell me a little bit about it. It's been a long time. I went to Gilmer one time, and there was something on the wall in the weight room that just rubbed us the wrong way. I can't remember what it was. It's probably not even there anymore. It's been 20 years ago almost. But I know y'all are winners. Tell me why you're going to win tonight.
Well, we don't know that, but we know this. The things we do know is we'll play hard. We're going to play for each other. We're going to attack. And if we don't do it right, we're going to do it again. Those are the things we live by. We don't know about outcomes, but we can control all those things. And we try to control those the best we can. And usually, if you do those things well, you put yourself in a position to be successful. And so that's, if anybody want to know the secret, it's just that stuff. It's not magic. Got great kids, great coaches, a great community. Our administration's unbelievable, very supportive, and they allow us to do that. So we've been pretty blessed.
That's right, man.
Coach, we've been keeping up with you all year. The last few weeks, it just seems like y'all are hitting y'all's stride. It seems like y'all are playing even better than y'all were earlier in the year. Has anything changed?
No, we just, the goal every week is to get a little better. That's really what we try to do. Our guys buy into that. So I think we've practiced really well,
just hard work.
And just you get better. As the season goes along, that just kind of happens. So we feel like that has happened, and we feel like Pleasant Grove's done the same thing. So, that's good teams do that.
So, like we talked, we weren't at the first game, but somebody told me earlier y'all had, traditionally, I remember y'all just passing the ball, screen plays, whole 9 yards. But they said y'all have more rushing yards this year than you do passing. Is that true?
I'm not a great stat guy. Okay. I couldn't tell you. I mean,
they got 500 more rushing than passing.
Oh, really?
We do whatever we got to do.
Yeah, that's Mark of a good coach right there. He said, I roll with the horses that
honestly,
I got.
Well, it's just we're a scratch where it itches people. I mean,
I like it. Yeah.
Wherever it works, that's what we try to do if we can. Yeah. That's hard to do with these guys because there's not many places where that's easy to do.
Coach, in the past, it seems like y'all are pretty much all offense. Now it seems like your defense is carrying you a lot. It looks like your defense has really stepped up this year.
Yeah, we've got a great defense. We've got a good. Our coaches do a great job. Todd Barr's the defensive coordinator, his staff, and our kids. Black flag, man. It's important to them to play good.
Well, Coach, the one thing that I hate to see in any level of sport is injuries or anything. Are we going to be able to see Hurt a little bit tonight, or is he?
You won't. No, okay. You won't. That's just part of. That's a unfortunate part of
and Pleasant Grove has lost a couple of good young men.
No doubt.
That's what just breaks your heart.
That's the hardest part about the whole job is that right there. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's just an element of the game, and you hate it. But it's the old next man up. You just got to move forward.
Tennyson has held his own. So
Brandon's a good player.
He's definitely a good leader.
Yeah. Thank you.
So a lot of people in the state have whoever wins this game. I said it is a shoe-in for the state champion. Do y'all kind of feel like that?
Well, actually, we don't ever think about it too much on that. We really don't. We try to take them literally one at a time, and this is a big one. We know what we got on store here. Like I said, you couldn't have any more respect than we have for these people. So
the Connolly game last week was huge.
That was a big one, and they played well. Coach Anderson did a great job. Was a very good team. But we're facing another one. So for that reason, to answer your question, we really don't try to think too far ahead of it because it's about tonight, and we'll live there. And if we're fortunate enough to move on, then we'll worry about that later.
Who are the guys we need to look out for tonight? We hadn't seen y'all play this year. Who are the guys we got to watch?
Oh, well, there's a lot of them, obviously. I've got some senior captains that play really well. In the offensive line, I've got Blake Oliveris, Bladen Collum, and Devin King are three of our captains that do a tremendous job. Our skilled guys, you got Eddie Ray and Dylan Fluellen and Jay Griffin, and those guys do good. And of course, Darrell Bush at running back, and Davion Smith and DJ Shedd. Defensively, you got Malik Williams, you got DJ. Some of our guys, of course, play both ways like theirs do. You got Bryson Jimerson, you got Matt Burton, you got at linebacker Omar Uceda and Carson Barber and Grant Kuchar. Those guys are seniors.
So basically, you're stacked, is what you're telling me.
Well, I mean, we've got
like a normal Gilmer team.
We feel like we got some good players. We've got.
I know Grant well, Coach. He's a very good kid. He is, and he pursues the ball very well. I've been keeping up with him all year.
I posed this
thank
question to Coach Gibson moments ago. When you play a team twice in the same year, it's usually a difficult game the second time around. Have you guys this week been focusing on fine-tuning everything just to make sure that you don't have any of those mistakes and stuff like that going into this
Certainly.
game?
I mean, obviously, you're going to watch the video from the first game, try to make improvement on things that you didn't feel like you did well, and but they were doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So you know that, and so and then it's just this game is just its own entity at that point. But certainly, when you played somebody, there's things you looked at, and you're hoping you'll do a little better, than you did the last time.
Well, Coach, man, we wish you the best of luck tonight. We'll let you get back to it, and we'll holler at you, man.
Appreciate you
Good luck,
guys.
Coach.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Yes,
you.
sir.
I'm excited to be here.
Okay, got
Yeah,
it.
man.
Thanks.
We are back from Lobo Stadium. We have Katie and Lizzie Baker with us, classmates of mine.
right.
And they are Gilmer to the core, evidently.
They do bear check. Yes.
I heard that. So I'm not going to bite the hand that feeds you. But tell us about this Gilmer football team tonight. We just talked to Coach, and, they hold back a little bit.
Well, of course they have to. Can't give everything away.
That's
but
true.
They are 10-3 on the year. Of course, they've lost to PG and District. They also have losses to Carthage and Paris. But leading up to this game in the playoffs, week 1 they played Farmersville. They rolled them 57-0. Then they turned around and played Fairfield, beat them 56-35. And then last week they had a big win against Waco Conley, who was previously undefeated. So that was 35-20.
And I don't know if y'all have mentioned this yet, but Gilmer has reached the third round of the playoffs for the 13th consecutive year.
Wow.
And they have reached the fourth round in 11 of those years.
Yeah, we sat down with Coach Metzel, offensive coordinator, and figured that up. He had to go to the wall and try and count because he couldn't remember how many times they made the fourth round.
And I'll tell
When you are having
the
to
team
count.
that didn't make it to the third round might be the best team Gilmer ever had. They got beat by LE in the first round, Will Middlebrooks and LaMichael James.
But when I was at Texas, Coach Brown always said, to be consistently good will lead you to greatness. And that is something that Gilmer has done. They have been consistently good to become great. And I think that speaks volumes of the coaching staff. They've had 3 Coach Turner, Coach Metzel, and Coach Barr, their defensive coordinator, who has been in the system for years at Gilmer, and they've really set up a great coaching staff.
So the quarterback they won't have tonight, he's a running or passing quarterback? I know that's kind of how they've been described to me.
Here's that passing quarterback.
So tell us about this Waco Connolly game last week.
Well, that
they only threw the ball 11 times.
Oh, wow.
And so it was a contest on the ground last week. And Coach Metzel spoke about his running back, Darrell Bush, this week and said that young man loves the game of football so much, eats, breathes, sleeps the game, and that the kids last week were just so over the top happy
Excited
for this
and happy.
kid because of his success, and that his wide receivers that normally gets glorified during the game, Eddie Ray and Dylan Fluellen, they were so selfless, and the fact that they were excited to block downfield for this young man.
yes.
Y'all are naming a lot of names I grew up with. I've been hearing them names my whole life.
Fluellen is, everyone's a
is
Fluellen
like
or
Gilmer,
related to one.
Gilmer people,
But I
yes.
will say there was a we've got a quarterback that's stepping in for Mason Hurt. And last week he came up really big. They're down 20-19. It's a 4th and 11. He throws a 25-yard pass, and they go on to score in that drive. So
And this is when they were down 20-19.
Yeah. So they're down, and he's still able to come up big. So even with that pressure, Gilmer's still next man up. They're going to put somebody in there
Yes.
who can get the job done.
Yeah.
Why don't y'all prepare like this? I got all these notes everywhere.
Well, you're speaking
I just
of
don't ever
next
get
man
asked.
up. Gilmer has lost 2 of their better players in the last few weeks and still beat number 2 Connolly last week. That's pretty impressive.
And speaking to Coach Barr yesterday, the DC, we asked him, they've lost one of their big defensive linemen who's going
difference
to
maker.
Colorado State, and he is a difference maker. And he said, you know what? That's just it comes with football, and there's no excuses. We will not have, our kids are not going to use that as a crutch or an excuse. It is the next player up.
Next man up.
And our kids, they react to that because everyone is so well prepared in our system. Everybody's ready to go. So I think they trust each other.
I watched a little bit of film on a couple of games that they had played earlier in the year, and to me, by far, Gilmer and PG, you could switch uniforms and you would think you were watching the exact same team.
Running a different offense. Yeah. Just running a different offense.
Yeah, but just as far as talent-wise, I watched some Gilmer highlights and I saw some very impressive plays.
Man, I know we're in the 4th round, but this is obviously the most dangerous team Pleasant Grove is gonna play possibly all season right now.
I think Gilmer matches up with Pleasant Grove very well. I've had people tell me that was going to be a blowout, and I was like, I don't think that's going to happen. I think Gilmer's going to come out and play great defense, and I think this is going to go down to the wire.
I'm looking forward to a really good football game. I mean, you just hear Gilmer, and you know it's going to be a football game.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of faith in this Pleasant Grove football team. I mean, they are dominating.
They are.
Before Carthage and after Carthage, it's been even worse. They have just dominated teams, except for Gilmer.
And we asked Coach Metzel, the offensive coordinator, yesterday, how do you prepare after looking at your film and after playing them? And he simply said, that was 6 weeks ago. We've both grown since then. You look at their film since they played in district, and you look at ours, we both advanced. But the key to tonight for him on offense is the turnovers. They had 3 turnovers last game, and so he feels like that is a big key to winning offensively.
Yeah.
With 2 equally matched teams like this, it's just going to come down to execution.
Yes.
And whoever doesn't turn the ball over pretty much.
That's what Coach Barr said. Execution, everyone does their job, and on the offensive side, Coach Metzel said we need to make big plays with kids in space.
I think whoever wins the turnover battle wins this game. I think it's going to come down to
That's kind of like execution, Tony.
Yeah, same thing. You're right.
Thank you for chiming in.
Second best roofer. Doing second best roofer things.
Gilmer alumni down there.
Wearing the PG
We have
hat.
a love-hate relationship.
Do you know I found out Tony is in a super secret society group called the Gilmer Buckeye football page?
They said he has some kind of hand sign that looks like a G.
That's about 4 months too long, Tony.
They said he had some kind of G hand sign that he throws up during the show.
He's going to be throwing out some kind of sign across the field tonight.
Now I'm just spying on him,
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to this ball game. I think it's going to be a tough ball game for both sides, gritty, and I just can't wait for it. I can't wait.
I know.
to
I've
see
been
it.
excited about this
Yes.
all week. I've
have
had
too.
a lot of people I know from Longview have been just, are you going to the game? Like, yeah, we're going to be there. We're not missing it. Like John Jett hollered at me. He said he's going to be here tonight. Like a lot of people went to school with her.
Coach
told me,
Hedrick
Coach
is here
Hedrick
tonight.
and
with
Lance.
Coach Hedrick is
yes.
here?
He's here with Lance. They were here at like 5 trying because they were scared of being
might be
sold out.
sold
I
out.
wish they would have told me. I'd have got them down here with us. Were they sitting on the Gilmer side or over here?
We gave them tickets.
We
So,
gave them our tickets. So
I'm going to have to go see them before the night's over with.
Yes, they're wearing Spring Hill gear.
But that makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
So what do y'all foresee tonight? We know it's going to be a close game. I know y'all are going to take Gilmer because you're financially obligated. So tell me why.
Why? I think that the sophomore quarterback, 6 weeks ago, he played a little timid.
He's a
and
sophomore?
He's a sophomore.
I thought he was a senior.
No, he's a sophomore.
That's Mason
Tennyson?
Hurt. Mason
He's
Mason
he's
Hurt's a
playing
junior.
really good.
So he's
Mason?
a sophomore. He was probably a little intimidated last time with
Yeah.
with that defensive line staring
I
at
mean-
him. But he's had some success that's going to grow. And so I think big things. I'm excited to see him tonight, to see how he responds.
Man, I didn't realize he was that young. He
he's a
plays
sophomore.
like a senior.
He's a sophomore.
Just a little bit that I've seen.
He's going to have to throw the ball more this week than he did last week to win, though. He's not going to be able to throw for
And I
80,
think-
90 yards.
And I know
to win
Coach
this game.
Metzel will set him up in situations to where that confidence will grow early in the game.
We're hoping so. And he knows they've been practicing. He can't hold on to the ball for very long. So that's one of the things they've been practicing.
I'd be all over that.
You cannot hold on to the ball for a long time.
So what do you think? What kind of score do you think we may see tonight?
I think it'll be very similar to last time. Well, I hope a little bit closer, probably, and with the Gilmer
Hopefully
on
no
top.
safeties.
But I do think it was probably very similar, 40s to 30, somewhere in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think so.
All right, I set the line at 50.5, and everybody took the over. So evidently, I don't know what I'm doing. Evidently, I'm a bad line setter. If we were actually playing for money, I'd be broke. But anyway, let's do this. Let's take a break, and we'll be right back. We're going to talk a little bit of Paul Pewitt and Dangerfield and UIL reclassifications.
Ooh.
If you're looking for authentic Cajun-style meats prepared and ready to cook and take home, look no further than Lanyard Specialty Meats. We here at Lanyard Specialty Meats select nothing but premium meats, and we season it to perfection so that you'll have all of Acadiana flavor here in your own home. Come by Lanyard Specialty Meats for all your tailgating needs for this football season or hunting season. Remember, Lanyard Specialty Meats.
Lanyards is an official sponsor and proud supporter of Texarkana Game Day.
We are back from Lobo Stadium, PG versus Gilmer. Second year in a row, a lot of years in a row meeting in the playoffs, but you live around the Dallas area, right?
Yep.
Coming down to see them. We have a segment we want to talk about Paul Pewitt and Dangerfield real quick and the reclassifications.
Okay.
Which, yeah, I mean, so are you familiar with Paul Pewitt and Dangerfield?
Yeah,
a little bit?
absolutely.
So, man, we did a poll this week on who do you think is going to win, and there ended up being 3,200 votes, and it was 49.9 and 50.1 in favor of Dangerfield.
Sounds about right. I know there's no love lost between those two schools' communities. That sounds like one of the more fun games to be at in the state of Texas.
Yeah, they were talking about Paul Pewitt has the second most rushing yards in the nation, and they played one less game than the top 10 teams.
5,600 yards.
That's nuts.
That's insane.
And tonight they're expecting to have 4 rushers go over 1,000 yards.
I think they had 4 over 100 last week at some point.
That's
if
crazy.
I'm thinking that they were the ones.
Well, who do you got in that game, Tony?
I got Paul Pewitt by I think it's going to be like the last game. I think Dangerfield by one last game.
32-34, I think Dangerfield.
I think Pewitt's going to beat him, and it's going to be within a touchdown. I think it's going to be really similar to this, other than they're going to score more points. I think they're going to put up more points in that game than this one.
What do you think, Craig?
Well, I'm going to say it's going to come down to execution.
Whoever
playing a team again the second time, like I said, it's definitely going to be about execution, but I'm going to give the edge to Pewitt. I think they're going to get that running game going tonight.
I have Pewitt by less than a touchdown, but this game really can go either way. I mean, it's really a pick 'em game.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is, but I have a feeling they're not going to be kicking any field goals.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to come down to who stops who last, basically. What do you think?
Really close. I always tend to lean with the running game, so I'll go with Pewitt as well. Really close game.
What do you think, Jay?
I think it's going to be Pewitt, and I actually think it's going to be a lower scoring game than last time.
All right, so let's talk real quick about the reclassification. We know Carthage is coming down, which was a really big, open everybody's eyes, ugh, we don't want Carthage in small school. How did they get back down to small school? That's the one team you didn't want down
University of Carthage.
Yeah, no joke.
Yeah, guys, I'm kind of glad they're moving down, because my reasoning with that is I've heard so many people say there's not a true state championship. I'm tired of hearing that.
Yeah.
I'd like to prove it on the field, absolutely. I like them going to our division.
Well, you're probably the only person that has that likes it. But right here in Longview is going down from a small 6A to big 5A. And I mean, this guy knows more about football than all of us put together. They're hurting on some people.
Yeah, I mean, look, Longview's always tough, and to be able to go down and play on that 5A D1 level, they'll play against the Highland Parks of the world, and it's going to make for some really interesting matchups. I think that the interesting thing for how it affects at least the schools that I'm familiar with in Dallas is those Mesquite and Rockwalls don't have to make as many trips out east as they have been over the last few years. But that's bad news for anybody in 5AD1. The Longview's coming down.
I read an article about that, how Lufkin, I think, was 6A and dropped down, and they were like, you see what happened to them against Texas High. So they were saying Longview may drop down, but they're still going to face really good competition.
Well, speaking of Texas High, they're dropping down.
Good.
And it came down to a half. This is what I was told. Don't know if it's true, but this is what I was told by a reputable source. The teams that could have dropped down, there were 17 teams that decided to stay in 6A small, and if they wouldn't have, then Texas High would have stayed in 5A big.
Yeah, that happens quite a bit, and it usually comes down to finagling of the numbers a little bit, and one or two here, one or two there.
We were asking if you could do that.
It happens. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's
Tony asked, of course.
Is it some sort of coincidence that sometimes these schools that come close to the cutoff miss it by like 8 people? That's it feels like that's a lot of coincidence there.
Yeah. So, man, you could be anywhere in the state right now. Why are you here?
I mean, you guys know I talked about this when I came out to see the boys against Carthage earlier in the year. But I love this program. Coach Gibson has been really good to me and kind of welcoming me into the program when I've come around to do press coverage. I love East Texas football, looking for a big environment. Haven't got to see them since that Carthage game. Wanted to see them last week in Dallas, but the timing just didn't match up with my other schedule, so it was really a no-brainer to come out here.
Well, let me tell you this, they've been dominant.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
They've been dominant.
First time to Lobo Stadium for me, too, so really wanted to see that as well.
It's a nice stadium, isn't it?
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, man, it's green and gold.
Oh, beautiful.
It's got a look, doesn't it, Tony?
Yeah, that's hey, I was here 20 years ago, first time I ever heard of PG. PG intercepted it on the last play of the game to run it 90 yards back and won the game.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I had a great game in this stadium.
First time I had ever heard of him.
Craig,
I had a great game in this stadium when I played here.
Stadium.
I got a couple coaches up there. They sent me a shout out.
Anyway, so what do you foresee tonight?
It's really hard to bet against Pleasant Grove. I mean, Gilmer has a lot of talent. They've got a lot of uncovered talent, I think. We've seen some guys in the last couple of weeks, some guys from our network who've seen them that talk about some of the athletes they got over there, and I think that pound for pound, athletically, they match up with just about anybody in their class. But this is what, Gilmer the last few years has not been quite to the level that they were under Jeff Traylor. I think Pleasant Grove they're to this level now where you should expect this every week of what they've done over the last couple of years. And I'm going to lean with experience of these kids that have been through it the last couple of years. And I think Pleasant Grove will grind this one out, but I think it'll be a little closer than a lot of people expect.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a close game as well. I hope not, but I think it will be. This just popped in my head because I looked over my shoulder. There's going to be 8 Division I coaches here tonight. I know University of Texas is here because I see the guy over my shoulder. Texas A&M is here. Mm-hmm. I talked to Haynes King when we were pulling up earlier, and he said, "Man, I think I'm going to come to the game. You got to point Landon down." I said, "I'm not going to have to point him out. You'll be able to find him real easy."
Easy to find, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, big game, a lot of hype. A lot of people have this because of the game of the week in the state of Texas.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not this, Duncanville, South Lake Carroll is probably the other big one that happens tomorrow. But, I mean, this is as big as it gets.
Man, it is. So, you going to tell us who you're taking, Tony?
They've been teasing me all week that I'm going with Gilmer.
Tony's in this secret group called Gilmer Buckeyes Football on Facebook.
No,
we found out.
I've been part of that group for a long time.
Hey, he's been a part of it 4 months too long.
Anyway, I got PG by
Don't do that
touchdown
hand
or
signal.
left.
Don't do your hand signal.
I got PG by 28, by 7
By
points
20,
or less.
28?
By 7
28
points or
sounds
less.
good. So a buddy of mine's son plays on the Gilmer team, Bryson Jemerson, outside linebacker. You need to give him a couple more stars. Anyway, are you the stars guy? Do you come up with who the stars are?
I'm not the stars guy. I give recommendations, and that's it.
Listen, you need to recommend to these people. Nick Martin, Marcus Burris needs some. Like Marcus needs that 5th star. Nick needs another one. Him being a 3 star is ludicrous.
We've pushed Nick. I love Nick, so I push Nick, and he'll get. We'll review senior film after this year, and guys will get bumped again. And that's how it works.
Do you just follow football, or you follow all sports?
Mainly football.
Hey, there's a kid, you know about him, but there's a basketball kid in Atlanta. He's one of the top players in the country. y'all need to you need to tell you, I've been tagging 247 Sports and stuff. We have full game film, all that on it. He had like 10 dunks the other night. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, y'all already know about him because y'all have him ranked as one of the top players in the state of Texas.
Okay.
But just saying, if you didn't, Tavondre Henry, CJ Kelly.
I'm not as much a basketball guy, but I could certainly get it to our basketball guys.
All right. Well, man, I appreciate you popping on. I walked by. I was like, hey, I know that dude.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to come on when during the Carthage game earlier in the year. And so I was like, got to go say hi to my guys over at Texarkana Game Day.
All right, brother. All right. Let's do this. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be back. And who are you picking?
I've got Pleasant Grove. I'll take them by 10.
10. I like it. See you back in a couple minutes. So we're back from Lobo Stadium, one of the top podcasts in the state of Texas. Cover 3A and 4A football sideline to sideline. How's y'all's year been? Y'all been all over the place.
This is actually one of our shorter trips.
I know.
We kind of have a rule, anything under 3 hours, we're staying overnight. So it's kind of nice to we'll be back home tonight in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Longview's a good area to stay. You ought to stay the night down here. You probably like it a lot better than some of these other places I see y'all go.
Yeah, you might be talking about Midland, I believe. We went and saw Pleasant Grove's potential opponent for next week, Midland Greenwood. We actually saw him last week in Abilene, and then 2 weeks ago we drove out to Midland to see him play. So,
who do you got in that game, that Iowa Park person?
Well, Iowa Park's a little bit one-dimensional. You know, they got a really good quarterback in Trent Green, he's a beast. But that Greenwood defense is very physical, and they're very balanced offensively. So we've got Greenwood in that one. I think it could be
It's
close.
a rematch. Iowa Park did beat Greenwood last year, but I think consistency on offense has been a bigger thing for the Rangers this year. And I'll be honest with you, of the teams left, them and Pleasant Grove are the two that look the most alike. They're big, they're fast, they're athletic, they've got size. I think they have one of the best wide receivers in the state. I mean, they're a very East Texas-looking team out in Midland.
Huh. So y'all making the drive out here for this game. Well, what was it about this game that you were like, well, that's the one we want?
It always seems like when Gilmer is maybe a little bit of an underdog or people are sleeping on Gilmer and you get them in the playoffs in an atmosphere like this, they pull a thriller. You know, a lot of people didn't think, 2 or 3 years ago, that they had any business beating Gladewater on this field.
Oh, yeah.
And that happened to be one of the best games played in the last, 10 years?
Gladewater beat them in the season by a couple touchdowns. And Gilmer, like you said, Gilmer from 2004 to now, Gilmer in the playoffs used to be what Carthage is considered now. And I think they're getting that back again. It seems like last year they kind of rediscovered some things about them right after the Pleasant Grove when they lost 14-0 in that weird weather game out there. And they've since then kind of refigured themselves out as more of a power rushing team. And I think it's kind of brought Gilmer back to being of Gilmer of old.
That does kind of play into Pleasant Grove's hands, though, right?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I think that Pleasant Grove still has the advantage because what Gilmer's going to do is they're going to run Bush 100 times. You're running into what might be the best front seven in the state of Texas.
And I believe Gilmer might have a sophomore starting quarterback, Brandon Tennyson, tonight, right?
Yeah,
Mason Hurt's out now.
Mason's hurt.
That throws a little bit of a kink into it, though, right? He's more of a runner. Kind of, could make things interesting.
We haven't actually seen Gilmer play. We couldn't make it to the Gilmer game. We were at a Texas High Sherman game, I believe. So this is our first time seeing Gilmer play.
Well, they're going to run the ball. They're going to spread it out, but they're going to run with Bush. And against Pleasant Grove, they struggled. I think it was 20 carries, 84 yards, and that's really where Pleasant Grove won the game. But when they're running the ball, they get really hard to stop. But once they get behind the chains, that's where the Pleasant Grove pass pressure, and that's where that front seven can really start to dominate as long as Gilmer is not winning first down. That's going to be the key to me. Does Gilmer win first down, which allows them to win second and then win third?
I know last week against Connolly, I watched the highlights on Bush, and you talk about a man running downhill in the end of that game. He sealed the deal, I think, on a long run.
He really reminds me of Justin Johnson, who was a running back for Gilmer back in 2007, I think it was, when they had David Snow up front, who went to Texas, and Justin Johnson went to OU. Big running back. Like you said, he runs downhill. He doesn't do a lot of cutting in the backfield. He doesn't dance. He knows the gap he's going to go. He hits it hard, and you're going to take a linebacker for a ride. Again, though, the problem is against Pleasant Grove, I don't know if you want to take those linebackers for too many rides because they're going to give it right back to you. I still think we had a real big discussion on this on our show this week because he's a little bit more Gilmer than I am. I just don't think that their strengths play well to what Pleasant Grove's strengths are.
Well, I think for Gilmer to have a shot in this, to actually be in the game in the fourth quarter. Look, we know it was close the last go around. Gilmer had a couple of turnovers, whatever. But I think you're seeing a different a Pleasant Grove team in the playoffs. It's just a different animal, right? Thing is, Gilmer's a different animal in the playoffs too. But I think if Gilmer really is going to have a shot, they've got to come out and throw the first punch. They've got to get out. They cannot play from behind tonight and expect to beat Pleasant Grove. They've got to come out and play with the lead. And I don't know that Pleasant Grove will let them do that.
I was going to ask y'all, not to get off subject here, y'all went to some stadium. I follow y'all on Facebook, and it was an odd-looking stadium. Y'all probably know exactly what I'm talking about. It doesn't look like any kind of stadium I've ever seen before.
This year?
It looked like it was in the middle of nowhere.
That's basically every game we go to. I guess Needville's a little odd, and it's where it's at.
Maybe it was.
It's got the bell. It's got a bell right in the field, and it's one of those where you're driving through a sleepy town, and then all of a sudden there's the football field.
You might have saw one that our buddy over here, Kevin McPherson, that's off camera. He and I went on a little sideline-to-sideline road trip out up in the Panhandle, and we went to a little stadium that the stands are built into the side of the ground in stone, and there's a big mountain behind it, and after that it's just desert. I wonder if that's what you saw. We took a bunch of pictures. Yeah, and that's about as out in the middle of nowhere as you could find.
Go somewhere called the Tomato Bowl?
That's Jacksonville.
That's Jacksonville.
Yeah.
They know me down there.
Oh, yeah, Jacksonville.
Oh, is that not a good thing, right?
You being built of him.
I wore Jacksonville out on the option down there at the Tomato Bowl. I was
they
doing them so
remodeled
bad
the
they sent the
Tomato Bowl.
train through on me.
So, have y'all seen? Y'all haven't seen? Y'all probably watch film. Y'all know what Pleasant Grove's been up to. It's been just absolutely dominant of every team they're playing. It's almost not even fun to watch. Sometimes they're beating them so bad. But except for that Gilmer, we weren't at the Gilmer game. You look at the score. They won by 13 points, Jay, or 14. And that's the closest anybody's got.
Well, Gilmer also had the fumble at the goal line.
That's what everybody's been telling me.
A lot of things happen. And again, that's kind of that thing where Pleasant Grove kind of seems to get those breaks now that Gilmer used to get.
Yeah.
And that's where I do agree with Grant. And his belief is that this will be the night that Gilmer kind of starts getting those type of plays to go their way. Let's be honest, though, Pleasant Grove is Jordan Whittington away from being a 3-time possible state champion.
Yeah, that is true.
I think the way you beat Pleasant Grove is a guy like that can just take over the game. And Bush is capable. But he's not really that speed guy. He is going to be a power guy. And I just go back to, you're looking at what might be the best front seven in possibly every class in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
Jack Stallard of the Longview News Journal on our East Texas show basically said he wouldn't be surprised if at least 3 of these guys are playing not only D1 but eventually playing on Sunday. And he's not wrong on that. That's how talented Pleasant Grove's front seven is defensively.
Speaking of guys playing on Sundays, popped in my head just right there. Nick Martin's going to be wearing number 21 tonight. Be wearing his brother's number.
Wow,
that's pretty cool.
So if you're looking for him, Nick Martin's rocking 21 tonight.
Okay, that's cool.
So I was talking to Mike Roach earlier. I was like, man, how is this guy a 3-star? What are y'all doing down there? He said, man, I'm working on it, so you need to work hard. I'm going to start putting you on blast.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why Grant and I have always kind of stayed away from the recruiting because I don't get the star thing. I mean, so many players are just as good as a 5-star, but they don't get the look simply because the number of the stars after their name.
Well, TCU, Gary Patterson has blown the stars system out of the water at times. You know, I mean,
and he's living by recruiting players from Newton
Right,
and players
yeah.
like that only get 3 stars. But you look out on the field and you go, why is he only a 3-star? And it's because he's not known.
That's how I feel when I watch Nick play. I'm like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah, it's simple. He'll get in front of the right eyes, or he'll be the guy that they'll be talking about on Saturdays. Oh, he's just a 3-star, and everybody will be going, yeah, but the dude was a beast. There's a difference in being a 3-star who never played and being somebody like him who's going to probably be the player of the year in the district.
And like a wise coach once told us, if you can play, they'll find you. You know,
and the
stars or no stars, if you can play, they'll find you. You know,
stars can be bad, but they can also be good, because in a game like tonight, when you do have those 4 or 5-star players, you got all the scouts here that are going to see some of the 3-star players that may get on the map.
Well, speaking of scouts, there are 8 Division I football teams here tonight. I know Texas is here. I saw them. Texas A&M is here for sure. And if they're here, LSU, I'm not sure who's here. I'm just saying, like, you would think an LSU would be here, considering Landon just visited them last week.
Yeah, I just saw that, Monday or Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
All the scouts here, and you took me to Pizza King, and now I'm looking out of shape.
Y'all could have had catfish with us. See?
Y'all missed out. If you came here and didn't eat Pizza King,
we've had Pizza King before.
It's great.
Yeah,
I grew up in Marshall, so I grew up on Pizza King.
That's what I'm talking about right there. Love it.
I'm seriously going to have to make a trip back to get more Pizza King.
I feel a little shell-shocked coming into the stadium, to be honest with you. I'm not real happy to be at Longview.
Yeah, well, Marshall hadn't beat Longview in forever. It's probably
beat them 3 times while I was there. That's all that matters to me.
Yeah, I bet. Well, let's do this. Let's take a commercial break. We're going to come back with Superintendent Chad Pirtle.
Find yourself in need of emergency care, come see us at Texarkana Emergency Center. We're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We are locally owned with board-certified physicians for all your emergencies. We accept all private insurance. At Texarkana Emergency Center, we have on-site lab, pharmacy, x-ray, ultrasound, and CT. Come see us at Texarkana Emergency Center. Real ER without the wait. The next generation of emergency care.
We're back from Lobo Stadium, Pleasant Grove versus Gilmer tonight. We have Superintendent Pirtle with us. And what's a week like for you on a game like this on the schedule?
You know, it's a lot of fun. There's so much energy around our district, not just at the high school campus, but at the middle school, at the intermediate, at the elementary. Everybody's jazzed up for this game tonight, ready to pull for the Hawks tonight. And there's a lot of cars on the road coming over here this afternoon. Coming to Longview to watch this game. It's a big stand.
I've seen oh, sorry, I heard them talking, thought it was one of y'all. I've seen a lot of people rolling in. I know I saw my dad roll in here. One of my buddies I hadn't seen in a while. I'm going to have to get up here and holler at some people.
Yeah,
these people live in Tyler, dude, I just saw. Came over to watch this game.
That's one of the great things. One of the reasons we wanted to play here is you get Pleasant Grove, you get Gilmer, but it's in the heart of East Texas, and you get all the East Texas football fans that just want to come out and see a great football game, and we're really excited to be able to do this for not just our fans in Gilmer, but for East Texas.
It's a great location. What are all the towns around Gilmer?
You got Big Sandy, you got Hawkins, you got Gladewater. Pittsburgh's pretty close.
Yeah, everybody said Tony invited all of them. That's what I heard. We found out Tony was in the secret group.
Yeah, I heard. I saw a little stuff on Facebook.
I'm actually probably 2 or 3 of them.
You got to watch out for Tony now. He's selling the playbook. No, we're just joking. He's picking Pleasant Grove tonight.
I saw that.
By a touchdown or less. I think it's going to be a heck of a game.
I didn't get to see him the first time, so it's really hard for me. Like I know, I don't want to say I know, but I'm taking PG. But it's hard for me to get a gauge because, they've just been so dominant.
Yeah,
every time I've watched them, minus Carthage, and that game was a lot closer than that score showed, they've just been absolutely dominant. And you can make an argument that you take out the last 2 minutes of that football game, and they were the exact same football teams,
I think Pleasant Grove actually was the better team for 2.5 quarters.
Yeah, I mean, I thought so also.
Well, for me, at the first game, Hurt was the difference in why they stayed as close as they did. With them not having Hurt tonight and Pleasant Grove having Nick Martin and KJ back, I'm just not convinced that it's going to be as close. I've just got a feeling that Bush is just not going to be able to attack our front seven like he has the last 2 weeks. And I do think that's what it's going to take to be able to beat Gilmer tonight, is to shut Bush down.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a complete game on Gilmer's part, like a perfect game, to upset Pleasant Grove, because they are on a mission. They've been on that mission for the past 2 to 3 years, and it's just going to be hard to see them fall off of that mission tonight.
You know, Landon Jackson, he's playing really, really good ball. I mean, he is dynamite out there. In the last game, they assigned 3 people to Landon on most plays.
This whole day,
they assigned
and
3
they still
people.
ran away from him.
And they still ran away from him. But I would be it'll be interesting if they do that tonight, what Coach Fuller and his defense, how they're going to attack. If they're going to put 3 people on Landon, that puts some numbers on the other side of the field in Pleasant Grove's way. And so
with Torrey and Burris, they're just not just going to be able to do it.
Yeah, he has offensive coordinator experience. I don't know if you know that or not.
Oh yeah,
he's a championship winning offensive coordinator.
This is first and second grade flag football we're talking about.
Yeah, he knows what's going on.
Good stuff.
So I had heard a couple things that Gilmer may put linebackers at tackles on both sides to kind of put athlete against athlete on Landon versus having a triple team. Maybe a smart strategy. I don't know, but it seems like if you're going to put 3 people on one player,
you can double and triple team, but you still have other good players at other positions.
And one thing that in a game like this, especially the second time, sometimes coaches can look at film and they can overcoach. They can do too much and get to where they get out from doing what makes them good, and they chase a rabbit. And maybe, I don't know if it's put linebackers at tackles or whatever it is, but they try to overcoach. And I'm not saying either coach is trying to overcoach, but that is a temptation as a coach to, all right, you see them on film and over-adjust instead of just doing what you do and doing what you do well.
Yeah.
And
I snuck into a practice, or I didn't say snuck in, but I was at a basketball game, and every gate was locked, but I just walked out the door that went right to the stadium. And I went and watched a little bit, and man, it was like the most intense practice I've probably ever seen. Nobody was speaking. You could only hear Coach Gibson talking. Everybody's listening intently. They're going to drills. They're putting in work. I mean, it was impressive.
I talked to Coach Gibson on Wednesday. We talked for about an hour, and he talked about how focused this team is and how they have had most of their work in as far as practice comes on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And he said they are so dialed in right now. So that's a product of Coach Gibson and his leadership and his coaching staff, but that's also a product of the kids that we have out there playing and how much they know how to do this. And it's not just from doing it this year. They've done this a couple years in a row, and so they know what this feels like. And I know that's an advantage for Pleasant Grove.
We were talking. There's 9 Division I schools. I just had my ear a minute ago that are here tonight. We know Texas A&M. I just saw the BYU coach walk by, or one of the BYU coaches walk by. I'm assuming he's here to say hi to Bruce Garrett about a week before he's going to sign his letter of intent, just to make sure he does. That's what I'm assuming. But we're not the only people that think this is a big game, is what I'm getting at.
I think Ohio State's going to be here. That's what I possibly.
That's a long way for.
They might just be coming here to check y'all's logo. Make sure you made some changes. That was a joke. I don't know too about that.
I think that might have been Iowa.
Oh, Iowa. Yeah. All right. Yeah. It was a big time joke then. So Nick's going to be wearing number 21 tonight. If you're watching on, what is it, Texan Live?
That and NHFSnetwork.com.
Yeah, if you're going to be watching the game on those, Nick Martin's going to be wearing number 21 tonight. Look out for him. So if you don't see that 6, that's what he's got going on. But as always, Ben's going to be leading this offense, and I'm really excited to kind of watch them tonight. As every night. I'm more excited about this game than all season, obviously.
It's getting loud
Teams
here.
are about to take the field.
I'm going to throw something out there, too. about 3 weeks ago, he told me it was going to be Gilmer and PG this week. So that was about 3 weeks ago.
Who did? The offensive coordinator?
Yeah.
All right.
He picked it.
Well, sometimes you're right and sometimes you're wrong. But I remember seeing Gilmer play, and they're pretty impressionable. And I know what PG is made of, too.
I'm going to start calling you superintendent, start calling you the OC. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Well, welcome the OC in here. You ever peek into any of the meetings and just throw your 2 cents in?
I'll roll through the coach's office every now and then and ask them if they need any help, any advice, which they laugh me out of there, But it makes for a joke and makes for loosen them up a little bit, hopefully. But they don't need my help. I can tell you that. They know what they're doing.
Under your belt.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah, they do.
He got that little running back that ran all over the field. That was great.
And we're not playing with flags and first and second graders out here. Still a lot of traffic out there on the road. Cars coming in.
I know coming into town, you got a lot of people over there trying to see those Christmas lights when they could drive right over here and see a fireworks show.
Oh, yeah, man. This is going to be an exciting football game. If you're not going to be able to make it, and you're going to watch Texan Live or
NHFSnetworks.com.
Or you can check our Facebook page. We're going to be posting constant updates of this football game. Super excited to be here. We have the most cameras on the field we've ever had tonight. So we're trying to get every single angle we can. Feel like it's going to be that kind of game. Everybody's comparing this to the Gilmer Gladewater game from back in the day.
That was a great game.
Here come the Hawks.
Your Hawks.
There's even a little kid leading the way out there.
Oh, yeah. That's one thing I do like about this coaching staff. They include all the small kids.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm impressed one more time with the number of fans that have made this trip. I mean, it's just impressive that Pleasant Grove continues to support this team, after making, a 90-minute drive. I mean, it's just so good.
This is a short drive compared to normal.
You have two powerhouse East Texas teams, Gilmer and Pleasant Grove, and this is what you want to be doing in December. And you know what? So few kids have the opportunity to do what really kids from both of these programs have done over the years and play in December regularly. And this is so special. And there are thousands and hundreds of thousands of kids that started the football season that are at home or maybe in the stands right now. And Pleasant Grove and Gilmer are out here about to duke it out and see who goes to the semifinals.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to hold a moment of silence.
And now the Pleasant Grove Band.
Let's do this. We'll see you at halftime, and we'll have updates. Just check back on our Facebook page, or if you're watching live, enjoy it there. We'll be back at halftime and include the band performances.
Let's go Hawks.
Yeah.
Go Hawks.
Captains will meet at the middle of the field for tonight's coin toss. Referees tonight are Al East Texas Chapter referee Darren Laird, umpire Lonnie Pinwell, line judge Trey Portwood, and linesman Kelly Norris, and back judge Tito Guevara.
Pleasant Grove has won the toss. They will receive.